everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome one and all to episode 170 of In Focus Friday, the show where we take a good close look at cool things made of silver or gold. Last week we did just that with the latest round from the Germania Mint Allegories series, the Columbia Germania. Stunning piece, absolutely lovely. If you've not checked it out, there's a link to last week's episode down in the description below. Well worth a look. Now here on In Focus Friday, we have returned to the traditional format of voting on what you guys would like to see here on In Focus Friday. And the clear standout winner from last week's vote was for the Batavia triangular coin from the Royal Australian Mint. Stunning piece, and that is what we're going to focus on here today. Thank you for voting for the other pieces if you did. The Samurai coin and the Montserrat Harp coin will be returning with one new item, so stick around to the end to have a look and cast your vote for next week. So, the Royal Australian Mint. Now, first up, I think I might have said Perth Mint last week for this when I was showing them in the voting. So I do apologise to the Royal Australian Mint. I don't know. I just maybe thought it was the Perth Mint. Most of the coins that you see coming out from Australia are from the Perth Mint, and they do such a good job. But this is a really refreshing, different piece on a number of levels. And it's come from the Royal Australian Mint. So I first up want to say a little bit of an apology if I did say that last week it came from the Perth Mint. So this is something that definitely caught my eye, and I know it caught a lot of other people's eyes as well. You can tell from the fact that it won almost hands down unanimously from the vote last week. It's different. That's the important thing that I really like about this. It's a triangle-shaped coin. Now, we saw coming out from the Perth Mint, not the Royal Australian Mint, the Perth Mint 2 years ago, the rectangular dragon bar. So it definitely seems that the Australian mints are pushing the boundaries of what's a coin and what shapes coins should be, because traditionally, of course, coins are round. But you look back through history, coins were all shapes and sizes, and they had different features on them. Some had holes in, some didn't. Different thicknesses, different shapes, squares, circles, triangles, all of that. So it's very interesting to go back to that kind of history. Now, these are a pretty limited mintage piece. They are 20,000. They come supplied in these plastic triangular capsules, which is really nice because when you're paying a bit of a premium on these, and again, for a low mintage, I say low mintage, 20,000 is not necessarily terribly low, but for a relatively low mintage item, you want to have it protected right out the bat. So having it in a capsule is really very handy indeed. They do come at a bit of a premium, but because they're a coin denominated piece, at least there are options for us here in the United Kingdom via the EU to pick them up without the horrible sales taxes. Now, this is a really good outing, and I think this is actually my first Royal Australian Mint coin. And that's an interesting thing in of itself, because you don't hear a lot about the Royal Australian Mint. Now, they've done an absolutely stunning job on this, and this is going to be the first, I believe, in a 4-coin series of great shipwrecks that I believe will have something to do with Australian, so the theme of Australian shipwrecks. And this, the Batavia, is the first coin in that series representing the Batavia, which was a Dutch East Indies ship made in 1620. Was it made in 1629, or did it sink in its maiden voyage was 1628, so it sank in 1629, the 4th of June, on with 341 heads, and it was on its maiden voyage, which is very sad. Now, one thing that you'll notice here on this is that the word Batavia there is upside down. 1 ounce 909 fine silver is upside down too, and 1629 is upside down, and that is because it's foreshadowing what is to come. So when you turn this upside down, it gives this idea of, oh dear, something is not right and something bad is going to happen. And then you flip the coin over and you see what has transpired. The ship is sinking. There was a mutiny and the ship was scuttled. There was a fight on the beaches there. And I really like this coin. I like the theme of it. I like the fact that both sides have energy, enthusiasm to it, rather than just it could have been very easy just to put the Queen's head on this side, have all of the pertinent information you need on that, and be done with it. But no, they went one step further and they created this extra piece and this extra layer of entertainment and thought-provoking design, which I really like. And it's a really detailed piece as well. Now, there was a video I did I watched whilst doing the research for this video, and it was from the Royal Australian Mint's YouTube channel, which has 630 subscribers. So guys, go over there and subscribe if you want to get some cool new updates from the Royal Australian Mint. But anyway, there was a video on there with the designer of this coin talking about the designs, and it really was something to kind of break the mold, to go a bit different to what you might normally expect. And I have to say they've achieved that. It's obviously the triangle shape is different. You've got the upside down writing for the Batavia with this ominous kind of look and feel to it. He was apparently inspired for the triangular part of the coin. Apparently this was going to be just a regular kind of coin series, but the designer was inspired to make them triangular because of and you can't really see it on the coin here because there's not really a good angle, but the back of the back of these ships look very triangular in their kind of their pattern, or the way that they kind of have their look. So that was a really interesting thing to sort of think about there, and I'm really impressed with it, I have to say. And you don't necessarily think of the Royal Australian Mint as the premier coin designer and producer of Australia. The Perth Mint, one would argue, definitely has that kind of that crown, but this is a really good way of being able to compete with the Perth Mint. Not that really everything should be competing, but at the same time, I think it's really good to see an incredible piece coming out from the Royal Australian Mint. It puts, in my mind anyway, their name, their brand on my map, and I'm really interested for this series going forward. Now, that's not necessarily financial advice to say that these are going to be the next greatest thing. They're going to make mega bucks in terms of return on investment. Who knows about that kind of thing? Nobody truly does. But one thing's for sure is that they're pretty unique, pretty cool, pretty different, which is very nice. Got a smooth edge around here rather than a reeded edge. It does make it a little bit more tricky to hold, especially in gloves like this. It's that's one thing I suppose about it. A silver round coin is a little easier to sort of hold and admire, but not necessarily pertinent when you have a capsule for it to all go in. So I think it's a really nice thing. I think the theme is cool. I like ships. There's a lot of really good ship-based coins out there right now. The Rwanda Nautical series springs to mind as the sort of premier nautical themed ship series at the moment. I love ships. I love that kind of history of them. I love finding out about them. I had no idea about the Batavia before doing this, and that's one of the really interesting things. Let's just talk a little bit about the Batavia before we wrap up this video. So apparently in June 1629, the Dutch East India Company's vessel Batavia was sailing from the Netherlands to Batavia, which is in Jakarta, when it struck a reef off the coast of Western Australia and was wrecked. Most survivors were able to swim to a nearby island called Beacon Island, and the ship's commander, Francisco Pelsert, I'm probably mispronouncing that awfully. He took 47 crew and longboat on a grueling journey to Batavia to seek help. But unknown to Pelsert, the Batavia had been threatened with mutinous plot led by under-merchant Geronimus Cornelius, and assuming leadership, Cornelius and his supporters set about eliminating any opposition by murdering survivors. A total of 125 men, women and children were killed. On Pelsert's return, the mutineers were arrested. 7 were hanged, 2 marooned on the mainland, making them Australia's first recorded European settlers. The wreck of the Batavia was discovered in 1963, and the sections of its hull and other artefacts are on display at the Western Australian Maritime Museum. The Batavia, Australia's second oldest shipwreck, is an unparalleled tale of the darkest side of human nature. That's a story in of itself. I really enjoyed telling that to you guys, and that's all represented here. So this would have been the mutiny on the beaches, and you can see here, in fact, the coin designer was talking about having the women and children represented on the coin, because it wasn't just sailors and men that were shipwrecked and then obviously had a horrible time of it. And you can see here one of the gutsy resistors to the mutiny defending the women and children there, and I think that's a really good design choice. So absolutely awesome stuff from the Royal Australian Mint. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments section. I do think it's a really very cool piece with a nice bit of history to be learnt around it and everything as well. So let me know your thoughts down below. Now, voting for next week, returning items, we've got a samurai themed coin, which looks really cool. I was surprised that this didn't get more votes, to be honest. It's a Fijian samurai coin. Very, very interesting indeed. A Caribbean Montserrat coin with some very pretty designs on it indeed, and that's definitely one to look forward to. And then one new piece, which I think is also from the Royal Australian Mint. Maybe I'm wrong again. I really should look at these before I do it. It's either the Royal Australian Mint or the Perth Mint, one of the two. The redneck spider, one of the deadliest one of the deadliest spiders in the world. So those are your choices for next week. Let me know down in the comments which you'd like to see next time. Otherwise, if you enjoyed today's video, if you enjoyed having a look at this Batavia triangular coin, then make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see videos from us in the future, then make sure you hit the subscribe button with notifications on if you would like to get notifications. Otherwise, that is it for today. Thank you one and all for watching. I hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead, and as always,